I've seen you on a TV program before, and I'd say it were a pretty soggy representation of you as well. I can't remember what you were. I feel like you were in like an American diner, and it might have been an all-you-can-eat. Is that right? Yeah. Is that like I'm not making this up in my mind?
Yeah, that was called the 2 million calorie buffet. That show.
Yeah. So it's a while since I saw this, but I remember watching that thinking, this isn't Adam. Like it's their version of Adam, which is so far removed from your content of which we're all used to seeing. It's like, this is soggy. Like this is a soggy representation of you. Like what was that experience like then? So like
that show was actually all right, to be fair, because I've only ever done shows where I got paid. Like even again, this is not me being conceited and pickhead and being a money grubber. To me, it's worth if I'm going to take time out to do a 2-day, 3-day shoot, I want to get paid for it. You know. So I'm lucky that I've turned down a lot of shows where that wasn't the case. That show I got paid for, admittedly, it wasn't. I can't remember how much it was, maybe 600 quid or something like that. But that was a long time ago. That was when I first got started. And
Mike Winnett put a sock on his cock for 600 quid. So that's
parity, cool. I'm not sure this was any less embarrassing than that though, to be honest. But if anything, I came away from that show having been narrated by Johnny Vegas. Johnny Vegas narrated that show.
Johnny Vegas, what a fucking guest that'd be.
You reckon we could get him on? Come on, surely.
I think, right, fucking tangent, right, but...
George, write that down.
Write it down, George. My mate, Alex Walmsley, who plays for St Helens, just on his testimonial, Johnny Vegas is the biggest St Helens fan ever.
Well, this show was filmed partly in St Helens. Maybe that's why they got him to do it. But at the end, I thought, like, the show was dog shit, right? But... the fact that I was narrated by Johnny Vegas, who in this country is quite, or maybe not as much these days, but he had a heyday, right? Probably 10 years ago when he was really, really popular. And he's a funny dude, man. He's a comedian.
Legend, isn't he?
But yeah, filming that show was with the whole. I'll explain the concept of the show real quick if you're not, because I think it's on YouTube, so I think you can probably watch it, or like on 4OD or something. And it was called the 2 million calorie buffet. Clickbait title, but the point of it was essentially like a light-hearted, tongue-in-cheek look at why all-you-can-eat buffets have kind of risen in popularity. It was kind of before its time, in that it assessed like the economics of it, like people living with food poverty, it being like a what's the word? A frugal choice for them. They can feed a family for a small amount of money and eat as much as they want. But then it also looked at if it was possible for essentially for the buffet company to be beaten, right, for them to lose money, and that was where I came in, right? So they kind of set up it followed, I think, 3 or 4 different groups. There was like maybe a couple or a family, like 2.4 children, why they liked all you can eat buffets, and it would watch them at the buffet how much they ate. Then they had like a American football English folks, but they were an American football team. And then a guy who called himself like the buffet king or something, and then me, right? And so it did like a little kind of bio of each one, and part of my bio was they showed who I was back. They followed me on like a food challenge I was doing, which was a massive. It used to be the place closed down, but it used to be the hardest food challenge in England. It was like an 11.5 pound hot dog. And it took me like 4 attempts. Yeah, it took me like 4 attempts to do it. Like I'd failed that 3 times before. And I think probably because the TV cameras were there, I pushed harder than I would normally have done, right? But that was tough going. But that's how they set up who I was, basically. Yeah. And the show itself kind of went like, it followed that day of shooting was a nightmare as well. Like this is another thing about TV. You get the show schedule, which says, this is the time you need to be here. This is makeup. Even people like me, because they want to matte your skin so you're not reflecting light and stuff. Because I'm naturally pretty greasy, and I probably had more of a tan than I was probably. I don't know. I was eating more, so I don't know. But anyway, so I think I probably got there like 2 or something. I was supposed to be eating at 6. Ended up eating at like fucking 7:30 at night. But
you're getting hungry.
Nah, it wasn't really that. It's just I don't really like eating late at night. You know this about me, right? And it's I just don't like things that don't go to plan. But that wasn't a big deal. I was just sat there not really doing much, But they follow this first family, let's say, and say, okay, the dad eats maybe 3 plates, the kids eat 2 plates each, and then they go on to this American football team, and maybe there's 10 of them or 15, whatever, and maybe the biggest lad eats 6 plates, and the rest eat 4, and so it's I think it essentially said that you need to eat 11 plates to break it any more than 11 plates and you've cost them money, basically, the buffet. So obviously very few people are actually doing that. And then they had this guy. I can't remember. I don't know if he was like a low. I don't want to say low level, but he was like an Instagrammy type guy, a bit like that. That food review club dude.
I don't know that.
Or like that, or like Rate My Takeaway.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Not that I'm not insulting him or anything. I'm saying, a kind of a minor celebrity who does food stuff.
Food reviewer.
I think he was a bit like that. And he called himself like the buffet king or whatever. And he said, he's got kicked out of a few buffets or something like that. I can't remember. And the funny thing is he got wind of the fact that I was going to be on the show before the second day of shooting, which was at this place called the Chinese Buffet in St Helens.
Yeah.
Which is I think it's a nationwide brand, right? They've got a few around. It's like a big all-you-can-eat buffet style place. I think they've got robot waiters now, actually. I read that the other day. That's probably a video in itself.
That's a video, definitely.
I ate at the place with robot waiters. Anyway, that's your kind of video. I would never.
That sounds like Daddy's video.
I never a title video. That. But anyway, I remember him in private messaging me. He said, "Oh, you're in trouble now, lad. You're going to be on the show, right? They think you're going to be the guy that." He's like, I'll eat more plates than you. And I'm like, all right. He was called George. I still remember his George. It must
Fuck
be
you, George.
Name. But yeah, he was called George. And I remember thinking like, all right, mate. Yeah, cool. Well, that's no big deal. So anyway, it comes time for me to eat, and I'd seen everyone because I'm last to eat. So I didn't see the family because I think they shot early day.
Yeah.
And then I saw the rugby team or the American football team leave, and I see this George guy leave. He's holding his belly, and he's like, "Ooh, yeah, did 9 plates, mate. You're in trouble." I'm like, "Oh, 9 plates. I'm in trouble. So I sit down, and it was actually a pretty big, one of the bigger productions I've done. Probably like 15 crew, maybe something like that. They've got a lighting guy, and they've got me set up in this restaurant. And the director, who was a lady, she was really nice, and she's like, which is quite uncommon that they're really nice. But she's like, "Yes, we just want you to eat till you." Satiated, until you're comfortable. I don't want you throwing up or anything like that, but just eat until you are comfortable. But the idea of the show is that you're the guy that's going to eat a crazy amount. I said, all right, yeah, no bother. So you're just going to flies in the studio. It's getting worse, man. No heating, flies.
I don't even know how a fly. We're in the top floor. We never cracked a window because it's freezing. Where's the fly
Might come up in my beard. I don't know. But yeah, so she says, you just eat until but we want you to eat quite a bit. So I'm like, well, they're paying me, I'll give them a good show, So they follow me around the buffet and whatnot. And in the end, I had to stop because they were, I was about ready to stop. But
they're running out of battery.
It was closing. The restaurant was closing up because I was eating so late. They were actually putting like trays away. But so I ended up doing like 21 plates, right? And a lot of people that watched my channel at that time when it was way smaller got a bit of a buzz off like, oh, we always want to see you eat a buffet. Yeah. This fucking George dude messages me the next day. He's like, "Oh, fair cop, mate. You blew me out of the water there." But I think it was 20 or 21. But yeah, that was actually not a reasonably decent experience because going into it, I knew what it was going to be. But the most fun part of that to me was they got like the reaction of some of the staff, which is something I kind of often, if I'm filming my own YouTube video, I can't really get.
Yeah.
And there was this woman, I always remember there's a woman in there who works, she's a waitress or whatever at the restaurant. She's like, "Oh, look at him! He's got noodles coming out of his beard. He's got food dripping everywhere. What a minger!" Like that. And I'm thinking, a lot of people were like, "Oh, that's a bit rude of him." Nah, it's in the spirit of the show, Yeah. She's not saying that to me directly, and I found that really funny. But that's probably one of the better experiences I've had with doing TV work. But it was a long day shooting. Yeah. I remember actually after that as well. There was a table, I think, Scouse Lads next to me. Who got wind of what I was doing, not next to me, but perceptively could see the cameras and what's going on here because they didn't close the restaurant off.
Oh really? They went for it, yeah.
Yeah, they had a spot kind of reserved, if you will.
Yeah.
But and this I got up to go because I really need to piss at the end because I've been drinking all day and eating and whatnot. And this guy's like, I heard him say, he's like, he's going to fucking throw up, lad. I'm going to go watch him in the toilet. So he follows me into the toilet. And I don't think he knew what to do because, like, I walked in and just went I think he thinks I'm going in a cubicle to, like, throw up or whatever. And I'm just having a piss at his urinal. I'm like, you all right back there? He's like, fucking hell, lad. You've just eaten a lot there, mate. I've seen what you've been doing. But yeah, that was, the drive home was a bit uncomfortable. But to be fair, I wasn't really full or anything.
That is mental, though, that. Like that's what I bet that's a question you'll get asked a million times, isn't it? How would you do it an all-you-can-eat buffet? 21 plates.
And it's funny because a lot of people still ask me to do it now because they've not seen that, right? Especially like if you're outside the zone that can watch it, because it's Channel 4. So maybe you can't see it in other countries, I don't know.
Yeah.
But because I don't think I could do it better than that, because to do something like that, you need a production of a crew, I think.
Well, like I said, it's a weird dynamic because like the way that represents you. From an entertainment standpoint, your videos are funny because you've got your personality, but when you do it on a show like that, there's none of your personality there. You're just there functionally to eat some shit. Johnny Vegas is the one that's trying to add a bit of character to it, which is kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah, you're just a cog, right?
Yeah.
And that can be a bad thing because they can make you look bad.
Yeah.
Fortunately, in that case, they didn't. But there other shows that I've done where it's been less. I knew it was going to happen because I wasn't born yesterday, right? If somebody's approaching a competitive eater to be on a show, they're going to make you look like a fool. That's the whole point, right? And I'm all right with that. You know, I don't give a shit what people think about me. But if I'm going to do it, I'm not doing it for nothing, and that's the whole thing that I get at. But there've been other shows that I've done where the production is that's probably one of the better ones, and I didn't come away from that with a bad taste in my mouth because I got paid. They were very reasonable, very very transparent, and the experience was pretty good. And what they produced was, I got it. You know, it was tongue in cheek. It was a bit lighthearted, and that's going to work. But a lot of them aren't like that.